You've probably heard of Rudyard Kipling's poem, If. For over a century, it's been this go-to piece of advice, almost like a manual for building character and just getting through life. But what is it about this poem that makes it stick around? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack its core message. We'll break down how it's built, the key virtues it champions, and the big prize it promises at the end.
So, funnily enough, we're actually going to start at the very end. The entire poem, every single line, builds up to this one powerful promise. This is the whole point, the ultimate reward for all the challenges that come before it. This is what's at stake, becoming a certain kind of person, a complete, well-rounded adult.
So that's the big question, right? What exactly does Kipling think it takes to earn that title? Well, the poem is his answer. It's this incredibly detailed and, let's be honest, pretty challenging blueprint for life.
Now, before we dive into the advice itself, it's super important to know who is talking and who they're talking to. That final line gives it away. The whole thing is what you'd call a dramatic monologue. Basically, it's a father speaking directly to his son, giving him the real-deal guidance for growing up. It feels incredibly personal, but its message is something anyone can connect with.
Okay, so let's look at how Kipling actually puts this advice together. It's not just a list of do this, don't do that. No, it's way more clever than that. And the entire thing, the whole structure, hangs on one simple little word that he uses over and over again.
That's it, if. Every single piece of advice is a condition, a hypothetical situation. The poem basically becomes one long metaphor for life, which is just a series of tests, right? Kipling is arguing that your success, who you become, is totally dependent on how you handle these ifs. To make all these abstract ideas feel real and tangible, Kipling uses some pretty powerful literary tools. One of his favorites is personification, where he takes a big concept and gives it human qualities. A human face, really.
And here is a fantastic example of him doing just that. He doesn't just say, handle winning and losing well. He calls triumph and disaster imposters. Why? Well, think about it. He's saying that both of them are temporary and misleading. He's warning his son not to get a big head when he wins or get completely crushed when he fails, because neither one of those things is the real you.
Kipling's list of conditions is, well, it's long. It reflects just how tough being an adult can be. But to make it easier to grasp, we can actually group all of his advice into 4 core virtues that act like a roadmap to a good and balanced life.
First up, the absolute bedrock of character, according to Kipling, is composure. This is all about your ability to stay calm, to be steady, and to keep control of yourself, especially when everything around you is going haywire. The poem kicks off with this incredible image. It's the ultimate test of your inner calm versus total outer chaos. Can you think clearly when everyone else is panicking and pointing the finger at you? It's a call for some serious self-control.
All right, next up is integrity. This is about being true to your own moral compass, holding on to your principles, no matter how tempting it is to let them slide.
But check out how deep this goes. He's not just saying don't lie or don't hate. The real challenge he's setting up is to refuse to sink to other people's level. It's about keeping your own standards, even when you're on the receiving end of lies and hate yourself. That's tough.
Third, we have resilience. And this one is huge, because life will knock you down. You're going to fail. You're going to experience loss. For Kipling, the true measure of a person is whether you can get back up, start over, and just keep going. This line just shows the kind of toughness he's talking about. It's not just about starting over after you've lost everything. It's about doing it quietly with no complaining or feeling sorry for yourself. It's about having that inner voice that just says, hold on, even when you feel like you have nothing left.
And finally, we get to humility. This is the one that kind of keeps all the others in check. It's about staying grounded, staying connected to people, no matter how high or low you find yourself in life.
This is maybe one of his most famous bits of advice. The ideal person can walk with kings, hang out with the most powerful, important people, without becoming arrogant. And at the same time, they never lose that connection to everyday folks. It's all about finding that perfect balance.
So, after all that, if you can navigate all these challenges, if you can master composure, integrity, resilience, and humility, what's the prize? What do you get? Well, the end of the poem builds to this huge conclusion, and it's probably more than you think.
So, this is the first part of the reward. He's not saying you literally get to own the planet. It's a metaphor. It means you'll have a true sense of fulfillment, a mastery over your own life and your place in the world. It's a kind of success that money just can't buy.
But then he says there's something even more important. The ultimate prize isn't the world, it's the person you become along the way. This is the grand finale, achieving that ideal of being a mature, honorable, and complete human being.
Now, Kipling wrote this advice a long time ago. But the structure he used, that if structure, is a really powerful way for us to think about our own values today. It kind of makes you stop and think about what advice is truly timeless. So think about it for a second. If you were going to write a new stanza for the 21st century, what would your conditions be? What are the big ifs you've learned from your own life so far? What virtues do you think are absolutely essential for getting by in the world today?
And that's the real magic of If, isn't it? It's not just a poem you read and admire. It's a conversation that keeps going. It challenges every single one of us to define our own blueprint for a life well lived. So, what would you tell the next generation?